Hello.
Hi,
How are
can you hear
you?
me okay?
Yes, I hear you. So just before we get started, just want to let you know that we do record our consultations and everything. It's on the form and everything. Let me see if I can get a pen. Cool. So like I said, we're recording. How are you guys?
Doing good, how are you?
Good. So just go ahead, and I read a little bit of your form about um, your dog. I saw like you're into the board and train program, and like your main goals were more focusing on general obedience.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and just fill me in. Was it Herky, right?
Yes, Herky.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Before that, can you please let us know how to pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, it's Enrique.
Enrique?
Yes.
All right, this is Winnie and Tom.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi. Yeah. All right. Our main focus is definitely basic obedience, or I should say advanced obedience. I think generally Herky is a good boy. We actually have a pretty strict manner at home, which means that he won't be allowed to go into our bedroom, never allowed to be on the bed, allowed on the sofa though. He always, whenever he's napping, he's in the crib. So he has been really good at crate training. He can settle down really quick inside the crate. And even though we just open the door and just go out and then like go get dressed up, and he'll have no problem. He'll just like fell asleep right away, right after we left the home. So he has no trouble over there. Actually, let me just take one step back. So Herky is a mini golden doodle, although not that mini. He's like 35 pounds already. Generally speaking, he's a really sweet boy. He loves all the people. He never show any fear or anything that when he visits the vet, grooming, daycare, boarding, no, like everybody love him and he loves everybody. We got him when he was 8 weeks from a breeder. And he's right now 1.5 years, so almost 1 year and 6 months in a couple in 1 week. Personality wise, I would say, as I mentioned, he's pretty sweet to the people, but at the same time, he's actually more independent. He's not like super attached or cuddly at home. Usually he is definitely curious about what we are doing, but like he spent more time just spending time outside, like playing his toys or laying there, checking out what's going on outside the window. But he's definitely not like super attached or has to be on by our side all the time. So that is the reason why we think he is pretty independent dog. One thing that we are not sure what happened is that because this is our first dog. So before we got Herky, we thought that, okay, all dogs love going outside to play, but Herky actually doesn't like going outside. He actually is reluctant, sometimes refuse to wear the leash or collar to go outside. He doesn't enjoy going outside that much. I'm not sure whether this is something like naturally because of his personality, where he prefers stay at home and play with us, or is it because we were pretty strict about his loose leash walking technique or training since he was a pretty young puppy? So I'm not sure whether we were too strict that he did not get to enjoy the outside, so that he doesn't like outside versus inside. But this is what his behavior is right now, is that he doesn't like he doesn't enjoy or doesn't seems really excited when we get out of the leash and call, hey, let's go party. He doesn't show the excitement. But once he's on the car, and then once we go to the vet, go to a grooming, he has no problem. He loves going out new place as well. But it's really hard for us to engage him and excite him when we get the leash and call it out. So this is something that we're not sure what's going on. Currently, we are using, so we have been, as I mentioned, we have been pretty strict in terms of the manner and obedience training, which means that we ask him to wait before every meal. We will actually on purpose, we would have to ask him to wait a little bit longer. We just walk away and then come back and then see whether he's still waiting for his meal and not like cheating or anything. So we have been pretty strict about that. Currently, when walking outside, we use the sleep lead figure 8 configuration. So it's more like a general leader, but with the sleep lead. He has been pretty good. He definitely pulls sometimes, especially when he is excited to see new dogs and new friends. He wants a pet. But I think he understands the concept of pressure that if we say, hey, like we have like a slight pressure on that leash, he will say, okay, I have to calm down. Generally speaking, he has been not too bad. When meeting new people, he will know that, okay, I should not jump. Sometimes when he see like exciting people say, oh, you're so cute, and keep petting him, he will get excited and just jump on people. But generally, it would be corrected pretty quickly if we just have like, hey, like you shouldn't do that. And then he would be really good at, okay, just 4 paws on the ground and then just waiting for the pet. So this is what we are using. We are also practicing place command at home or also. We have been practicing that in the past couple months, I think almost 10 months, where after his neutering surgery, when he was 8 months old. Generally speaking, he know the idea that when I say place, he would happily go onto the place and lay down, and then but we are still using the leash on him because he always want to get up and then just walk away. So we have no significant progress on that end. So I think he's doing pretty good on getting on the place and know what is place. He know he should stay on that platform. We use like a raised bed, but he's not doing really great when he want to get off for something else, for example, to grab toys nearby, or if he hears some noise outside, he want to check it out or bark at it, he would still like get up and then ready to leave like any second. So that is the reason why you have to keep the leash on, which I think would be pretty convenient and easier to correct with the e-collar, because leash is like really hard, and then sometimes if we tug too hard, it would choke him. So we don't like that as well. So I think that part I think would be really helpful if we can use the e-collar for to help some of that. So that is some of the things that Herky is doing right now. In terms of our goal, as I mentioned in the form, is definitely more advanced obedience, especially in the exciting environment when he goes to a new and exciting environment when there are a lot of new people, which he loves. I would like his focus still on me. So basically just focus all the time on me unless I give him the permission to say, hey, you can say hi. And then also when he doesn't want to do something, I think I want to have a tool that say, hey, you have to do that. For example, to put on the leash, to put on the collar. I know that some of the time I can always chase him around the house, say, hey, don't run. You have to put on the collar. You have to go potty. But there are some scenarios I want, especially some urgency. Like for example, there was one time that our building, the power went out in our building and it's all dark, and I actually need to find him in the apartment to put on the leash in the dark. So at that time I thought, okay, I probably have to do something, because what if there's an earthquake or something that urgency, I have to like, hey, come here, we have to wear the collar and leash and go. I will need the tool to help me that, okay, 1 out of that 100, I will need the tool to help me to get him right next to me and then put the leash and we are ready to go. So that is one thing. Advanced obedience, I'm just checking my notes. Of course, we want the improvement for the place command as well. I think mostly increase the duration, since I will be working from home remotely permanently in the future. So I will spend a lot of time with Herky. I would like to incorporate the place command whenever I need it, especially when I have a conference call or just generate, like I want him to master the place command as well, so that I don't want him to be with us like 24/7 because I'm like at home in the future. What else? Place reliable recall. This is definitely something that we would love to have. To be honest, we never let him off leash in open space ever, like in his past 1 year and a half, because we are so scared that he just will not come back. So we practice that a lot at home. Basically, whenever we ask him to come at home, he will come. But we know that there are just a lot more outside that there's always a new creature, new people, new squirrel, new card that can always catch his attention. So we were just so concerned and so not sure that he would come every time we ask him to come outside. So that is the reason why we never let him off leash, unless we're in a fenced-in area like a dog park or something like that. So that will be definitely something that we would like to get him master as well. There are a couple things that we want to correct him or actually want him to better at home as well. As I mentioned, generally, he is a good boy. He's a little sensitive to outside noise. We have some random bark outside when he hears some of the sound, like, for example, our neighbors come in or some trucks go nearby that makes that loud noise, and then or the snow plower that if we have like a big snowstorm or something like that. He is a little bit sensitive, but I would say if I ask him to stop, he would just bark like 2, 3 and then stop. So like nothing, no, it's not something that, oh, he would bark like 10 or 1 minute nonstop, but he would still bark. I understand that is their nature, is their instinct, like they will bark whenever they see something weird. So I'm not looking for like, okay, completely silence at home, but I would like to be able to control him a little bit more, saying, okay, when he bark, I can tell you, hey, it's okay. Basically, I want to communicate with him, hey, it's okay, I got this, versus just keeping like stop, and then he still bark like 4 or 5 times, doesn't know what's going on. So I would rather have a tool to help him that, okay, it's okay, I got this, I know this, thanks for noticing, telling me, but that's fine, I know what's going on. So that is one thing that I would like to like him to improve as well. I think I mentioned that a little bit hard to settle when on the place. He always want to get up and walk away. There is some unwanted behavior at home, not a lot. Sometimes he would do counter serving. We try really hard not putting anything on the counter, so he hasn't get a chance to get into anything yet. But I would like him to go. I would want him to understand this is the boundary. I don't want you to go there. Just don't do that. And then on the other hand is that I mentioned that currently he is allowed on the sofa, but we are moving to a new house in the future, and if possible, I would like him to not go onto the sofa. I'm not sure whether is it hard to change the behavior since he is already say, okay, I can get on the sofa, but that would be something that I would love to achieve if possible as well.
Got it.
So yeah, so that is some of the background about Herky, some of the context, and then some of the goals that we have. And of course, I have a long list of questions about the training philosophy, the equipment itself, but do you mind just sharing some of the like a general introduction of your training philosophy, and then maybe some of your, maybe that can answer most of the question, and then maybe I can just ask the other one at the end of session.
For sure. So first of all, like you have for your first dog, you have a pretty good like structure and like understanding of like the dog psychology. You have, I don't think there's anything wrong with Herky. So when he's not like excited to go for the walk, since he'll avoid you, he could be a little like, maybe he's not a fan of the gentle leader or like the slip leash or something like that. But there's a few ways we can address it. What have you tried to fix that?
We try to, whenever we put a leash on, we try to give him a treat, like a high value treat that he never has. It works for the first maybe 4 times, and then he'll just like, okay, I got it, but I still don't like it. I think I would say right now it's a little bit better. At least he won't run around, but you can see his body language like, I don't want to go, but if you ask me to go, yeah, okay, fine. And then he never show us, so
like the
yeah, he never, Yeah, no excitement, no.
Yeah.
But right now it's really interesting because I think started a couple of weeks ago, we started to use a different color for his whenever he goes into the daycare because we just want a different color.
Oh,
And
I
then
see.
right now, whenever he see that color, he
Yeah.
will wag his tail and wave. So I think he just doesn't think going outside is fun unless it's that specific color associated with that daycare experience. So I think generally speaking, he just doesn't think outside is fun. Probably he doesn't like the gentle leader because whenever he come back, he will first like rub his nose and like doesn't like that. So maybe I'm thinking if let's say if we did the e-collar training, he get to enjoy it outside even more, we can probably give him a little bit more freedom without gentle leader. Maybe he would like outside a little bit more, but I'm not sure. But I agree, it's not like something wrong with him. And I know that dog would just have different personality like people.
Right.
Some people like to go outside, some people want to stay at home, just
Exactly.
like cats. So I totally understand that. But yeah, as I mentioned, I just wanted to that whenever I needed to happen, especially under the urgency emergency scenario, he will be here. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then I just want to review what you said a few things before I get into the training.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you said something. Yeah. So like I was saying, and like you understand, nothing really wrong with Herky. That's just him. Um, his personality type, like you said, is like more independent. So he likes to do his things on his own. If you know, for him to avoid like kind of avoiding the leash, what you can start doing is maybe send to daycare with the gentle leader and the slip leash if they accept that, to see if it's like, because now you can it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same thing with the e-collar,
Mm-hmm.
because e-collar is a tool to add more discipline and structure. So I can already imagine that Herky's probably going to be that same way when you try to bring the e-collar to him. He's probably,
Mm-hmm.
no, this is the tool that makes me do everything you want me to do. I'm not going to want to do it, right?
Yeah.
So what we do here at our facility to balance things out is that at first, yes, you're going to notice Herky hating it. But then this tool is going to give you, what's the word, many fun and more fun activities to do, such as like the
Mm-hmm.
off leash time and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And what we'll add as well is we'll put the e-collar on while the dog is playing with their friends, but we're
Mm-hmm.
not using it. So then
Mm-hmm.
the dogs understand that, okay, I can wear this when I'm playing with my
Mm-hmm.
friends, and it's not always a disciplinary tool. So I would start, if you want to get him used to the slip leash with the gentle leader, I would start sending him like that to daycare if you like, just to see if you can balance that out as well. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
see that it worked for the collar, maybe it can work with the tool you have now.
Yeah. I think I saw they only prefer like the flat collar. So I don't think he can wear it during the play. And then since we have to drive to the daycare, so I cannot let him get him like wear the gentle leader while he's on the car because he has to be on the harness for safety issue. But I think that like a e-collar thing associated with playtime with friends and maybe because we're moving to the suburbs, so later we can associate with the e-collar with outdoor
Right.
off leash time. I hope that would be better for him. But yeah, I think it's just his personality. He's just so independent. He's not like that type of dog saying, "Oh, I will do everything for you because you're my owner or dad or mom." Not he has his own thinking process, I think.
Cool. And then your goals with Herky. Um, I know you wanted to advance his obedience. With the commands you gave me, I can see what like program will work best for you. But do you have any other like since you're moving to the suburbs, there's a few like hiking areas. Like, do you see yourself like hiking with him, or you want to hike with him every other weekend, or how does your life look with Herky? Because sometimes, especially in the city, like usually dog owners just like, I just I need a structured walk,
Mm-hmm.
some off leash time in the park, and then I come and I get to
Mm-hmm.
come, and then I go home, or maybe sometimes they go to like the restaurants and like the patios.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have other owners who do come from the suburbs or different areas who like go hiking and they're just hikers and they want complete control for off leash hiking. So like
Mm-hmm.
where do you see yourself in life with Herky, or where would you want to see yourself?
So definitely the city part. We are currently living in the city. Actually, to be honest, this is the first time we are moving to suburbs. So it's a transition period for me to figure out whether I like hiking or not, whether I would go hiking with Herky every other week or once per month. I'm not 100% sure right now, but basically, I think I want full control of Herky because we are moving to a house. This is the first time because he has been in a condo since he was like 8 weeks old. He has never been in a house. He has never been in a suburb. You know, there's a lot of squirrel. We have seen a lot already in our new house. And then we don't have a fencing yard yet. We will have one in the future, but not just yet. So basically, I want full control of him. I want him to be able to definitely structure walk, leash walking, and then whenever it's necessary, I would like heel as well, especially when I walk through some of the crowded area. I think loose leash walking is not enough, so I would like to incorporate that command as well. We never teach him that, so he doesn't understand what is heel. Okay, so I would like that to record. If possible, I would like to teach him emergency stop as well. So let's say he run around, run across the road, and then instead of calling him like, hey, come over, when there's a car is approaching, I would rather say, hey, stay there, like stop there, right there, and then I will come to you. So it's basically just like more control over him since he will be a brand new environment with a lot more distraction in the suburb.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good. That's good information to hear. And then just as a heads up, it usually takes dogs. All dogs are different. For my dog, when I moved, it took her about 3 weeks to get fully acclimated to a new environment. So just a heads up as you're going with Herky to there, you might notice like a little, like, you know, he might be stressed a little bit or a little confused. But keeping your same routine is what's going to help him. So you, like you said, using the crate a lot, like a resting spot. And then you can also, it's a good and like easy way to start that new rule of don't jump on this sofa. So you can tackle that as well. And then if you're struggling with that, we'll obviously coach you through how we use that or what's the best way to enforce that rule. But other than that, for the suburbs, yeah, a lot of people just tend to do more outdoorsy stuff when they're down there. But everything you're saying is good information for me to hear. And then I also saw you a referral. Do you know who?
Oh yeah, Reggie.
The
Bernadudo.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. I was just curious. But other than that, everything sounds good. So you're also looking for the boring train, which we'll explain about later. So now, with the tools you're using, and you're saying with the positive enforcement, it is getting you to have more control. But what I'm kind of getting is that you don't have enough. What's the word? Like mental control. Like physically, you have like the gentle lead and the slip leash, so you have like the physical control. But mentally, Herky can still be stuck on like, I want to say hi to this person. I want to go. I still want to do what I want. Like you said, he's very independent. So like I said, that tool is good for control wise and just like advancing from like the puppies or working with the puppy stuff, because we'll use gentle leaders with our puppies. We don't use the flat collar for our puppies because then the trachea is very sensitive and then they can break. There are other tools as well. So like, are you aware of like the prong collars?
Yes, I'm aware of that, but we never use that because we understand that like in order to use the e-collar and prong collar correctly, you have to work with the trainer, and then all the trainer we have work with our positive association only. So I am aware of the prong collar and how that work along with the e-collar, but we never use that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not needed for Herky since you said he's 35, right?
Yes, 35.
It's not needed, but just to kind of give it like an understanding on like kind of like how the e-collar works is that the prong collar, which are, I don't know if you can see them, they're right here. They're shaped this way with like the spikes and everything to mimic a dog bite. So then you'll see some dogs who have like I think I did train a little mini doodle who wanted to use the prong collar, and they tried it at first and they did notice an improvement. The reason why they get like an improvement like that fast is just because it's a physical tool. So like for Herky, since he's a small dog, let's say you're at the dog park and maybe there's like a bigger dog like bothering Herky. And then Herky, you can kind of see Herky's like uncomfortable, maybe trying to avoid the bigger dog. As the bigger dog keeps approaching him and you see Herky become uncomfortable, what do you think Herky might do if he's like, I need this dog to get away from me?
I have no idea.
Knowing Herky.
Because we never go to dog park. We don't have like a good dog park nearby. We just have a lot of daycare, like supervised playtime instead of just like random dog park. We don't like the dog park. We have heard a lot of the horrible story about irresponsible dog owner and their dog, especially in our like South neighborhood. So Herky has never been in a dog unsupervised dog park. We have been to the daycare, has been to the boarding, has been to supervised dog park where you have to pay and then like all the owners are here and then people are paying attention. So to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how he will respond that like in that scenario. He's just like sweet to everybody. I haven't seen him showing any like scare, like any sign of that to other dogs so far. And we never got the report from the daycare say, oh, he's barking or like fighting with other dog. Like no, like he generally is like a loving dog. So, yeah, I'm not sure how he will respond in that scenario.
Yeah, usually like dogs have certain responses to certain situations or scenarios. So for Herky, let's say he is getting kind of surrounded or kind of he can't get away. There's like that, like what you're kind of seeing like with the leash stuff, like he's seeing the stressor, which is like the slip leash coming towards him. There's a few responses. There's the fight, flight, avoidance. So that his one he can do, which because he's not attached to anything yet, he's going to do the flight first. Then once you get him into the corner or like he stops, then he'll submit because it's nothing too threatening because it's just you're putting it over a leash. But if it's a dog and then he feels like he's like maybe endangered, he's probably going to try the flighting first since he's not really attached to anything. He's at a dog park, he's loose. And then maybe he gets to that corner and the dog's still there, and maybe he'll have to go into fight mode because he's thinking no one's here to kind of like come get this dog or control this dog, so I guess it's up to me to take care of the situation. But that's all normal. It's not making Herky like an aggressive dog. It's just his response in this situation. He's going to do this to protect himself because he feels threatened here. So what I'm trying to say is that with the positive reinforcement and then with the gentle and all that stuff, those are tools that are more, they're not going to stop behaviors. So if a dog wants another dog to stop a behavior, it's going to be a physicality type like scenario. So with the prong collar, giving that physicality to the dogs is almost like it's just their language, so they seem to understand it. So it's supposed to mimic a dog bite. So once Herky gets the pressure or like the dog bite, he knows like, okay, this turns on, but then maybe when I relax, it turns off. So that's why it could be a good tool. You can still teach heel, stay, sit down, come, place, like the commands he already knows with the prong collar. But like what you're struggling with the place and like the recall, once you take the leash off, you've lost all control as well. So again, just dogs have a different way to communicate with each other. They can't use words like we do, or like treats, or like the crate or anything like that. It's just kind of, they're very reactive. Like whatever's happening in the scenario or situation, that's just how they're going to react to that, depending on what the context is. So again, with prong collar, that's why it's a good tool. But sometimes you have your cons with the obedience wise of, because you want that off control, it won't get it. And sometimes dogs are able to override it. So maybe Herky sees like, I don't know, maybe someone he's super obsessed with. Like for example, my dog is obsessed with my mom when she comes over. So if your dog is super excited or stimulated, you might see the prong collar not even be effective because now Herky's overriding it and still wants to go say hi to, like, when you go to the public places, like he still wants to go say hi to the people. So just a little bit more knowledge about like the other tools, the other aversives. Like you said, or like you were saying with the prong collar with e-collar, it's not needed for Herky. If you want the
Okay.
prong collar, you can have it, but since he's a smaller dog, I don't see a need for it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which then brings us to e-collar. So it sounds like you already have an understanding of e-collar and how it works with like the what's the word, like with the wireless kind of connection to the dog of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you're at a certain place, he hops off place, you correct him, and then he should go back on a place, like what you're wanting there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some advantages as well, again giving you off leash control. For like the technology of the e-collar, kind of how it feels to the dogs, we like to compare it to a like stem or like a TENS unit. It's the technology, same technology that physical therapists or chiropractors use on their patients.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to one before?
I think I have a massager that use that like a little bit like electricity, but just make your muscle pop or like twist. I think that is like similar to what the e-collar is.
Yes, very similar. I think we've had a couple of therapists say like it's the exact same way. Sometimes the way they're working with their patients is also the same way we work with our dogs, starting low and then working their way up. I don't know if the machine comes like with directions or if you know how to work the machine, but it's going to be the very similar way. So when humans are using it, we're not, we're at a level that's comfortable to us, that we're like, okay, it's doing its job, but it's not like overdoing or anything like that. So um, for the dog trust system is what we use here. It's giving that feeling. For our system, for our levels, we have 127, so in increments of ones. There are other systems out there that maybe go up to 8 or 5. Their 5 or their highest level, if they have 8 levels, will still be equal, or like the power will still be the same as our 127. We just have so many more numbers to be more specific to Herky. So like, let's say we're using the 8 leveled e-collar. 5 might become too much for Herky, where he's overreacting, or maybe he's yelping, it's too much power. But then if you go down to one level lower for 4, he might just completely ignore it, and then you're just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
For the dog trust, since it gives us more options, or not more options, but more numbers to work with, we can be more specific to Herky's personality or like the scenario we're in. Because maybe, like you said, you don't want the barking to stop. You just want to control it, because like we're not trying to kill it. So then you would have to be at a specific number for that. But that's going to be talked about later in a different way without the e-collar.
Mm-hmm.
They're waterproof, so Herky can go swimming if that's like an activity you're interested in. You also get the mile-long distance depending on the model you're using. The brand is called Dog Trip, but there's different models in it depending on like the size, breed, and the behavior and all that stuff. What else about the e-collar? It's rechargeable. They're easy to use, very simple. You just have the vibrate function, which we don't use for training. We only kind of use it to see if the collar is working and functioning correctly, and to see if it's on. And then you have your stem, and then there's like the dial on top, and that's pretty much it for that. But it's you get your transmitter and then your receiver. That's how it works there. How it looks, you might have seen. I don't know if you've seen Reggie's e-collar, but it's like the collar, the strap, and then like the little box with 2
Mm-hmm.
contact points.
Mm-hmm.
You might be getting the smaller one for Herky. So you're not going to get the big one Reggie has on his neck, because he's a little guy. Any questions so far about the system?
So you mentioned I have seen, so other than the one that I saw Reggie has, I also have seen something online that is I think probably is a different brand, like the round one. So I think like different brand is like exactly the same, right?
Yeah, it's that one's eCog Technologies. Jesse's been using Dogtra for most of his career. I think the eCog Technologies is like our second to go to brand. And there's nothing wrong with that brand. Still good. So, do you have a mini educator?
No, I just like the look. But it's fine. Like I'm fine either way. I'm just wondering whether there's any like difference in technology between two brands, and just they have a little bit like smaller controller that is easy to handle for me. I think my husband would be fine with both brands, but I'm fine with either brand. Like if you are more familiar or you think the other one would be better. So I'm pretty neutral. I'm just like curious whether there's will be any difference in technology.
Got it. I think what I'll add, if we're gonna speaking about differences, is that besides like the remote, the feeling from what we find from the mini educator or like just ecom technologies in general is that the ecom technologies gives like a more like Dogtra is more dull in like the feeling it gives. So it has a duller feeling. Ecom can be sometimes a little bit more sharp.
Okay.
So it's a little sharper. Nothing too crazy. We can still train. We can still work with it if that's a model you're kind of wanting. But that's the only difference I've noticed. But it's still we're still going to get the same results. Sometimes dogs tend to just react different to different systems there for that.
Yeah, I think I'm good with Dr. I think Herky's a pretty sensitive boy, other than independent. So I would rather to have like more safer, like dull feeling. Although maybe it won't make any difference, but I would say just go for whatever you feel the most comfortable with him. We are fine with that.
Yeah, and then since he is like you said, if he is a sensitive dog, like we always tell our clients that we don't like from off the bat, we don't know what like the range is going to be. So we've had different what's the word? Sometimes we'll see like a Great Dane, and then I think we've had a Great Dane here before, and they were on like a 280C because she was a more softer personality dog. And we've had little dogs with usually when they'll have more like of an intense type of behavior case there, and they'll be on the big boy or big girl collar. So then it's always different. We can never really tell what, just like based on looking or hearing from a breed or like looking at a dog, what like their number will be like on the system.
Got it.
We only go by like the behavior or what we're dealing with. Since you're dealing with general obedience, we don't really need like the big boy collar for Herky. You'll be fine with I think we'll put the 280C. Okay. Any other questions?
I think when I say he is sensitive, I meant sensitive mentally as well as sensitive skin wise. I have heard that there is some kind of pad or a different contact point that actually will work better for sensitive skin, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, if we notice there's a reaction to the contact points that are on Herky's neck, we do have other like options to switch them out for. So they're just called comfort pads. It's like usually for like our pitties who have like allergic reactions to like that metal there. We'll switch them out to the comfort pads, and it'll still sometimes it will dull the feeling, but it's also going to be meant for longer wear. So if we start to notice that Herky's becoming very sensitive to it, because if the e-collar is on for a dog for more than an hour, every hour you need to rotate it to the other side of the neck. So if they don't get sores here, because it's not from the stem, it's because two metal probes are stuck here for a long time. You rotate to give this side a break. But let's say after 30 minutes, it's already red and it's like, whoa, that's pretty bad and pretty quick for just 30 minutes. Then we'll swap it out. But if it's like longer than an hour and then you notice redness, then it's like, well, it shouldn't really be on one spot for an hour. Or maybe you do want, the e-collar on for more than an hour and not really worry about it. Then you can do the comfort pads. Does it make sense?
Got it.
You can still have them if you're like, I'll think about it maybe, because for me, when I was in the suburbs, my dog was pretty much outside most of the time, and she always had an e-collar on. But she didn't get pressure sores, so I can leave it on one spot for like the whole day. It didn't matter. So if you're living a life like that, where it's like you kind of want it on for a long time, all day, probably comfort pads will save you the time of like going over there, rotating it, and all that stuff there.
Yeah, that would be something that we can do some homework to see, because I'm just concerned that I might forget like change switch the location if we have to change that every hour, every hour. So okay, so we would take a look at that.
And I usually play it by ear as well. So like maybe wait for an hour and then look at the skin. There's no redness. Okay, for an hour she doesn't get irritated.
Got it.
You like see every 2 hours, and then you keep going by that until you see the rest. But if she's going to be, if he is going to be swimming, you definitely do want to rotate, because since there's moisture now,
Got it.
body, that's when you would be careful with.
got it. And then I assume the e-collar will be affected regardless of how long his hair is, right? I don't think he has a pretty long hair. He maybe have like half inch, 1 inch, not really long hair, but I don't.
Is he like Reggie's hair, like that?
Not that curly.
Okay.
But I think the length is more or less the same.
Okay. Yeah, we can play that by ear still.
Okay.
You get comfort pads who are like that have longer probes. So like you said, we can play that by ear. But it is depending on if Herky is groomed or not, it's gonna become more sensitive, or because the fur acts as a buffer. Because for humans, if we put it on, there's no buffer. It's just directly on the skin. For dogs, they have the fur, so the more fur they have, the like the stronger the buffer is, or the bigger the buffer is. However you want to word that. Any other questions?
Where to buy it? I think I saw so one of your posts on the Instagram that you are selling already, like in store already. So basically, I assume that if we decide to go with the board and train, we probably don't have to buy it like in advance. You probably would have that ready for us like on day one, right?
Yeah. We'll just pull off the shelf. We have them here, and then we'll just add it to the total for the stay here. Yes, we'll pull it off the shelf for him, and maybe we can see, because we'll be able to see like maybe we're not getting good contact, and then we need to switch the probes. We'll kind of do all that for you, and then we'll give you the feedback like, hey, this is where we saw like the best. This is what the best setup is. Do you want to continue it and buy these other tools with your tool, or do you just want to whatever you want to do, it's up to you. You don't have to buy what we're using, as long as you obviously the system, of course, but the other extra stuff, that's up to you. Any other questions?
Not for the e-collar, but I do have more about the program, but I am assuming you're going to go over the program first, so I will save my question later.
Yes. So for Herky, what would we need to be doing first for the e-collar is first having Herky understand what e-collar is, what the feeling means, how it turns off, how it turns on. So a lot of times clients tend to think that e-collar is used as a punisher. So sit, he doesn't sit, then you tap. Doesn't really work that way. We do a lot of shaping first. So have you ever had to like pull up to make Herky sit? So what you're doing there is you're giving pressure. So you're turning pressure on when you pull up, and then when Herky puts the butt down, when he's sitting, you release, right? You relax your arm because he's doing what you're wanting to do. So we're going to be doing that same thing to teach like a behavior, is using the leash first. But now we're going to be adding the stimulation. So now he's going to be doing like the sit, pulling up, and then tapping, and then he's going to sit. He's like, whoa, what was that feeling? And then we're going to keep repeating it. And then maybe I say sit, he doesn't sit. But when I tap, it's going to look different. Because if we're using it as a punisher, sit. No, you don't sit, you tap. He's going to sit, but he's going to sit like whoa. Like he's gonna sit, like he'll back up, he'll look thrown off. Versus when we shape it first, and then we say sit, he doesn't sit, we tap, he'll just put the butt down. Easy. No confusion. He just does it because I've done this so many times. I know what they want from me. I know how to turn this off. So an exercise we like to use or do for the first time is we teach the heel first. Our heel is very strict. Walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So if I take 5 steps with Herky should take 5 steps. If I take 10, he takes 10. When you come to a stop, Herky's to automatically sit with his shoulder parallel to your leg. Loose leash in any environment, doesn't matter what's going on. That's how strict it needs to be. So again, we're teaching you the heel command to give you the structured walk. We're doing the heel for having Herky understand how the e-collar works. The pressure turns on when he's not complying. Pressure turns off once he's complied. And then the third, I guess, what we're also accomplishing when we're teaching heel is the focus of being with you and being attentive instead of worrying about the environment around Herky. So, because if our heel is good, it's very strict. he technically shouldn't worry about anything else because he's more focused on being next to you with the shoulder parallel to your leg. The reason why this can be concerning is because we have all these levels on the e-collar to be at a concerning level to Herky. Because if we're not, if the training isn't concerning to Herky, then he has no reason to be concerned about it. He can just worry about, you know, the dogs, the people, whoever it is. Maybe someone's being cute with him, you know, saying Herky, good boy, and then you'll start to see dogs kind of second guess. They'll hear it and they'll go like, but I gotta be in heel, and they'll go back. And so they know because this is more concerning than the person over there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's the first exercise we teach. When you're doing the board and train, you're gonna see one of the trainers, Elias, in the videos. So he's going to be teaching Herky and everything. I'll be present as well in case, you know, he needs help or anything like that. He's a good trainer. He's been training for a while already with the dogs. He knows what he's doing. He's just new at making a video.
Okay.
So he's just kind of getting used to the videos for now. But like I said, you'll see Elias in the videos on the board and trains, all that stuff, teaching Herky, and you're going to see, you know, what is Herky's first response to the e-collar. Maybe Herky gets flighty. Maybe he tries to get away from the feeling. You're going to see how Elias works him through that maybe he gets a little bit of panic. You're going to see how he works him through it, and then you're going to see how it progresses and how you're going to see how it makes sense when you're actually like seeing it in the video and everything like that. For the board and train, he'll learn the heel, stay, sit down, come, place. All 6 commands. Kind of like Reggie did daycare and train though, but it's gonna be very similar. You're just leaving Herky with us overnight. Any questions so far?
So we are basically open to the boarding. Well, let me take one step back. So we were planning to board him anyway, with or without training, during our move, because we are moving from the city to the suburb in the beginning of April, and of course, like it will be better. It will be easier for us to make the move happen like more smoothly without Herky. So we were planning to board him anyway. But right now with the board and train program, I'm just not sure whether it's a good idea, because you mentioned that there will be stress for dog when he is in new environment. So I'm not sure when will be the best time point for him to be trained using e-collar. Should we still like send him to board and train while we're moving, and then after 2 weeks or 3 weeks he come back in a new environment? Or do you think it would be better for him to settle in a new environment first, then we consider the training?
I think it's just up to you. So if you are getting to that, you're closer to the moving and everything, and then you send him here, we still get the training done. It's not going to affect the training if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, but like when he come back, if he realize that everything has changed, I'm not sure whether it would increase his stress, or maybe the e-con will actually help him to calm down or get used to the environment better. Or I'm just like wondering when would be the best time point for him to get into the training.
Yeah, for me, what I would want to do is I would send my dog to a board and train, get the control down, bring them to the new environment, and let's say maybe Herky is stressed with the new environment. You can use the e-collar to calm him down. So now you have a tool to use in the new environment to have more control over Herky. You know, maybe you still have some things coming in, or still activities you need to do with the move and everything. Then you can have a reliable place, right? Because now you have the tool to keep him there while you're doing other things, and it's just gonna. I feel like it would make your life more easier if you get the training done while you're moving, and then he comes to the new environment, and then it's like, okay, if he's stressed, I got this tool to calm him down, control him, take him for a walk, with the structured walk in the heel. Because with the heel exercise, you're applying structure and discipline to Herky's life. So let's say, because it's something familiar to him, right? So like this routine of the e-collar, the heel, he knows this already once you get him back. So he's going to be familiar to it. So it's going to be more, if anything, more calming for him, because he's like, okay, this is something I know. right, in this new environment, this is something I'm familiar with. So it could calm him down. It could also tire him more because it's going to be it's mentally drained to be focused on to be in this position throughout the whole walk. So you're going to start to see him be a little tired as well when you bring him home. So he's not going to be always like, "Who's that? What's the smell? What's going on over here?" He's gonna you're still gonna definitely gonna have a tool to calm him down when he's in a new environment. Does it make sense?
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. So how long? I think I have read your website. There are different length, like different, like you have like 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks of board and train. So based on all the context that we provided, like how many weeks do you think Herky would need?
So minimum for the 2 week, that's more for like you just want the structured heel, the foundation of the commands, and that's all we'll cover. Heel, stay, sit down, come, place. So first week, you're gonna get your first week video, which is the introductory sessions. So you're gonna see the first time he learns heel, first time he learns stay, sit down, come, place. The second week video, you're gonna get a kind of like advancing his obedience to on your way to off leash, if you like, where we use a 30-foot long leash and we're doing all the same commands, but now we're giving him 30 feet to make mistakes. So we're giving him more room, just kind of letting him know that, hey, even though when you're 30 feet away, you still need to come to my side or do whatever that is needing to be done. The third week video, if you do the 3-week program, takes place in the playpen, where we are applying all the commands we've taught him in a play group setting where there's dogs around. So we're kind of pushing for more. The 4-week video, or the fourth video of the 4-week program would be, we go to like Horner Park and we're teaching you, or Oz Park, we go to like a park and you see us how we apply the commands in a real life setting, outdoor distractions and all that. If you're wanting all control, like the ultimate control, that's the 4-week board and train program. Minimum, if you're just like, I just want to walk, recall, someplace, I say the 2-week program would be fine for you. But since you did mention like emergency sits and emergency downs, I think we only do that for like the 3-week or the 4-week program.
Got it.
So it just depends on how much control you're wanting. Again, ultimate control would be 4-week program, because he's just getting more repetitions. We're drilling him out more. And for the board and trains, we also take them to, because we have a Home Depot right here and a dog park. So what we'll do is we'll take Herky on a walk around the dog park, then go to Home Depot, and then we'll come back because we're applying all the commands and the obedience in Home Depot. Because it's great if Herky can perform well in the facility, but if he can't perform outside, then there's no point to it. Does that make sense?
Yes. So one question I have, if we're doing like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, does he has to be in the facility like for 3 weeks straight, or we can break it up? Like break it down into like 2 separate, like maybe 1 week, 2 weeks first, and then whatever, and then come back maybe 1 week later to continue the last week's training.
I think,
or you don't think it won't be good for so it won't be that effective, because basically he has like 1 week to getting loose, and then if we are not like reinforcing it strong enough at home, he might forget some of the things that he learned in the past 2 weeks.
If he's here for 2 weeks, he definitely won't forget it.
Okay.
So I think it's 1 week of our time is 3 weeks of your time.
Okay.
Like for the in-person, you know, the 6, 9, 12. For the 6-week program, that equals to like the 10 daycare and train, or like a 2-week board and train. So it's not that he will forget it. Maybe he might need like a little fresh or like a reminder, but he won't completely forget it, because as soon as he enters the building, he's gonna be like, oh, we're back here again. I know what to do. I'll ask Jesse, see if that is a thing we've done before. I think we have done it before. I don't see that much of an issue with the time of like that gap there in the middle from the board and train program.
We're just curious, like it's not something that we have to do. I'm just curious because 3 weeks is a pretty long time for him to spend in the facility, and this is probably would be like 2 weeks. It will be the longest time we have been separate with him. So I'm just curious whether it's still. But I totally understand that sometimes it would be better for him not seeing us during the whole training periods versus he trained and we come in and then we left him again and then he has to train again. So yeah, just curious. And also, do you also do the combination between daycare and train and boarding and train and consider it as like a big program? So let's say maybe we start to send him maybe 5 day worth of daycare and train before we actually move. And then we start that the 2 weeks boarding training so that maybe that combined effect would have like 3 weeks worth. I'm just making this up. I'm just wondering whether you have done something like this, like making the whole program consists of both the daycare train and boarding train.
For the daycare and trains, they're like, that's like a program. So
Okay.
combining them isn't needed.
Okay.
If you're wanting, like if you need daycare, like in general, you can absolutely send them to us before, but there's to do a daycare train and boarding train is kind of like an overkill there. Like there's no need for it. If it's like you do the boarding train program and then maybe you want to send him to daycare, but you want us to like still kind of work with him and train him, then what you would want to do is purchase what's called add-on training sessions. So then while he's here, let's say you get 5 add-on training sessions as a bundle. You'll say, okay, for today, can you guys please work on some recall? Or maybe, hey, we noticed he's been a little messy with place. Can you, practice place with him? And what for the session today? And just keep like, however you want to do it. But there's no need to do like a daycare train and a boarding train for her.
Got it. So generally how we would receive update during training. The reason why I want to do the daycare and train first, maybe for a couple of days, then the boarding train, because I would like to see how he responds to the e-collar, because as I mentioned, he is a sensitive boy, both mentally and like skin wise. So I would love to see how he responds to the e-collar. Just like as pet parents, you are concerned about, okay, whether they will hate it, whether it would ruin our relationship. So that was my thought when I said, oh, can we do the daycare and train first? Because I would like to see his response to the e-collar, like at home, so that we can say, oh, rest assured, oh, he's fine with that, or oh, actually he likes it. So just make us more assured. So that is just my original for when I brought this up.
So a few things you said. So if you do daycare and train, you technically wouldn't be able to use the e-collar until you get your video, right?
Got it.
So then there's going to still be some time of nothing's happening at home yet until the video is posted. For here, we like to update the owners like for the first 3 days, the first 2 days of like how everything's going. So usually how the first day goes, again, all dogs are different. Usually it's normal to see like a dog not eat dinner. Maybe they're not going to go potty outside for that first night. But then the second night, but then they're drinking water. Drinking water is like the main concern. Like as long as they're drinking water, like that's fine. And then about like night 3 is when, if a dog is really on a food strike, that's when they should be eating. If it's over 3 nights and they're still not potting and they're still not eating, and then it's more of like, okay, we can't, this dog needs to go, or else, they can get sick, or it's just it's unhealthy to go that long with no food and then not potting. So then that's like a vet visit there. But we like to update the owners right away, see if there's anything like out of the ordinary. We'll let you know, and we'll let you know how he's taken to the e-collar.
Okay.
At first, like I said before, he's not gonna like it. You're gonna see, we know we had 2 shepherds here. First video, their ears were kind of back, like they're like kind of like this. Again, that was just the first time. Second week video, they're more like, you can kind of see they're more like raised. They're more like confident with the tool. It doesn't ruin your relationship, just because there's nothing connected to you and the feeling of the e-collar. So Herky is not going to know it's coming from you because there's no connection there. I'm going to sneeze, sorry. So it saves, thank you. It saves you the confrontational part of like dog training of like, you know, maybe you have to yank on the collar or yank on the leash. You don't have to do that anymore because when you pull, Herky sees the leash connected to you, and then he's able to connect the dots and then know that's you doing that. Versus e-collar, there's nothing touching, like there's nothing coming from you to him. So dogs tend to think it's like the universe or something's happening when he does this. So then he's gonna think it's all happening like because of him. He's doing this feeling. Another concern would be since he doesn't know where it's coming from. Another good thing about it is that, let's say in the videos we're working with Herky, and then our number is 30. That's the number we're using a lot, like consistently. Is that sometimes owners have a concern with previous board and train programs that dog was performing great when the trainer was here, but then when the trainer left, dog regressed or did their went back to their old ways. It technically doesn't happen with the e-collar just because when you see Elias pressing the button on 30, and then you see me press the button on 30, or someone else press the button, it's still 30. Right? So there's no like, she's stronger than him, or he's more strict on her. That's why he performs better. Or like when the trainer comes along, the trainer knows what they're doing. Yeah, the trainer knows what they're doing, but the number is still going to be the same, and you're going to get the same results from that number. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Any other questions?
So you're saying that he won't connect the pressure from the e-collar with us.
Correct.
So what about there will be some scenario when we have to correct him? So for example, like getting on the sofa. So do we, let's say we ask him not to go on the sofa, he still sneakily go onto the sofa, and then we just press the e-collar but not verbally correct him so that he never connect like the pressure from the collar with us?
So there's two ways to go about that stuff. So it kind of goes back to your barking scenario. Is that sometimes owners like the barking for security reasons.
Yep.
Some owners want to eliminate barking, which we can do if they like live in like an apartment and they have neighbors and they're going to get complaints. So there's control. Sounds like that's what you're wanting. And then there's like elimination.
Okay.
You want to eliminate the dog going on the couch. You don't want that to ever happen, but you want to control the barking. So if you want to control something, we have to give him like a warning. So he's barking at the window. Some owners say like enough, and they correct the dog. If you want to eliminate the barking, you don't say anything. It's just you correct. So then Herky realizing, okay, when I do the bark, this happens right away. Or if you want to control it, Herky's thinking, when I do the bark, mom says enough. I keep barking, I get this feeling. So I think mom is trying to warn me, right? Hey, if you're barking, you're going to get this feeling. Does that make sense?
Yep, definitely makes sense.
So again, the bad thing about like not knowing where the e-collar is coming, that the e-collar isn't coming from you, is that if you don't have your e-collar on, like will Herky actually listen to you, or is he just listening to the e-collar? So we'll give you different tools and different exercises to practice in the home to still apply discipline to Herky, but without the collar being present. Any other questions?
I think I do have more, but more about like how the boarding experience Herky would have. So how would the day looks like a normal day looks like for a board and train program dog?
So how our daycare facility runs is that we do an hour activity and an hour rest. So we like to have all our dogs to have an off switch throughout the day, so they're not always just playing. But for Herky, he'll still get that hour and hour rest like structure, but he's going to get more activity because once Elias teaches a new behavior, then everyone can start like reinforcing or practicing that behavior because it's been taught. Teaching and then practicing are separate. They're different things for dog training. So once he does teach it, then everyone here does their rounds or repetitions so that Herky's still getting the practice all day. He'll also be doing the place work throughout the day. So if he's not training, if he's not playing, If he's not out for a training walk, he's doing duration work. And the beds are in the middle of our floor. So around the beds, there's like other dogs in their kennels, playpens, people walking in, people walking out, and then treadmills. So usually we come in at 6 during the weekdays. We run the dogs out, we get them breakfast, and we try to do our training sessions like before, depending on how many people we have on certain days, like before, like between like 7 and 8 or 8 and 9. From 7 and 10, there's 2 people doing the repetitions. After that, they'll do a little bit of duration work. Then the next shift comes in during the day. They do the repetitions right away, and then they go back to duration work or play or whatever it is. And then before closing, we try to do one last kind of round of training sessions for Herky. So he's getting more training, more activity throughout the day than like the regular daycare dog would.
Yeah.
We also have treadmills here, so he'll learn how to walk on a treadmill as well.
That's cool. That's cute. I have seen that on Instagram.
Nice.
So will we have staff on site 24/7 when he's boarding with you?
I'm sorry?
Will you have like staff like on site 24/7, like in the facility with the dog at night?
Yeah, we have someone's here 24/7. We also have cameras back there, so if there's any barking, we address it. We always want it quiet here. But there's always someone here in the building 24/7.
Got it. And I'm pretty sure he will be great at night, right?
Yes. We always crate our dogs. So like we have like the facility area. Sorry, my dog's shaky. We have our facility area, and then we have like a back area which is carpeted, has heating, has cooling, where all the dogs sleep back there. Other than that, any other questions?
Let me check my log. But we definitely want him to be created at night because that is how we want him to when he's back at home. So we don't want to lose like his like good experience with crate. Let me see. Do you guys have outdoor area? If not, like where would they go potty? Just curious.
Yeah, we have an outdoor area. We have the front right here. There's a lot of grass, trees, dirt. We have a theater across where they offer more grassy area than the potty and everything. So we do run them out first before we do anything else, so that we don't create the bad habits of they're constantly peeing and pooping only inside, and then they'll carry that to the home, and then their owners are wondering why this is happening.
Yeah.
That's happening. That's why.
Yeah.
So we do try to run them out. At first, we might not see Herky go out because he might be a little stressed, which is normal again. But we always give them the opportunity to do that as much as we can.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Food related. So first of all, will you use any like food rewarding during the process?
Yes.
So should we provide the food?
Yes. Oh yeah. You need to provide the food. Any medications that are needed, but other than that, we only need food from you.
Okay.
You can give treats if you like, but just mostly just like the kibble, and then someone will also be reaching out to you of like how everything should be packaged for us to make everything easier. But we don't accept blankets, toys. We don't need bowls or pails because we have all that stuff here. We have our toys. What else? We just need like your regular setup with like the leash, the collar, the gentle leader. Using a gentle leader in training, I know you want to steer away from it, so you don't have to bring it then. But just like a regular standard collar would be great with the leash.
Got it. He has a sensitive tummy, just like Reggie. So we have a really limited option in terms of what kind of treat we can give him. And we are actually currently transitioning him into fresh food. So not sure whether, I think I asked previously whether you can also do the fresh food because you will need to be in the frozen, like the freezer, and then need to thaw in advance. And I think someone told me that, yes, it's doable in your facility. So that actually means that I would have to bring something else as a treat, because basically you cannot feed fresh food as a treat, a rewarding treat during the training.
We've done it before. We've done raw food with training before. It's not that much. It's not. What's the brand or what's the?
Just Food for Dogs.
Is that the one that's all crumbly? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That,
it's like
yeah,
mushy.
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, it might be difficult. He's on kibble right now.
Yes, but we are transitioning him to the fresh food as of right now. So we are expecting to he will be fully fresh food diet before we send him to the boarding train.
Got it.
We can send him treat. We do have treat, but he just have sensitive tummy, so which means that he cannot have a lot.
Okay. Do you know like specifically like what meat or protein he's allergic to?
Chicken,
Chicken,
turkey.
turkey.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have seen like the inexpensive one. He is allergic to all those inexpensive ones. We have tried beef liver, like the small bit. It works well, so we can provide that as well. But yeah, generally he just have sensitive tummy, so we are pretty limited in the treat option.
Yeah.
We need. Do you need use a lot? Like
No. So like, if let's say he was on kibble,
Mhm.
we would take his breakfast, put it in a treat pouch, start training him,
Got
and
it.
then let's say everyone does their rounds, and then we have like kibble left over. Then we give him the rest, and then the evening shift starts their dinner in the kibble, and then
Mhm.
they do that until like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, you can try and bring the beef liver treats. We're not gonna. It's not like he's not gonna be getting too much because then I know that some dogs when they get too many treats they'll just have the diarrhea.
Yes.
Um, and then we have done some training with the just food for dogs. It can be a little difficult, but we can try it. And then, like I said, he might since the ECOS is a disciplinary tool, he might not even eat it while we're training.
Okay.
So we'll give it a try. Bring the
Okay.
treat just in case, and we'll update you on like, hey, we're using the raw or like the fresh food, and we're it's not an issue. Or maybe we'll mix the two together, some treats, some raw food here and there. Um, any other questions?
Let me see. So you mentioned that we will receive the update, like at least for the first two, like day 2 and day 3 marked regarding how he's doing, how he's responding to the eco originally. But will we receive like regular updates for the rest of the week as well as a second week as well? Or should we maybe, if we want to know more, we should just call in and ask?
Yeah. For update wise, because the updates are really only needed for like that first week because it's like the
Mhm.
first week. The second week is pretty much like there's nothing really going on. We're just repeating stuff over and over
Okay.
again. We do it like for example, we have we had a I don't know why, but this batch of boarding trains just kept having potty accidents in the kennel everywhere. So we were constantly in communication with them, kind of like, hey, still having accidents, like still bad diarrhea, because that's
Mhm.
out of the ordinary for the owner. So we had to work with them and kind of switch things up, and then some were successful and they stopped having accidents.
Mhm.
Some are still struggling, and then we're still in communication with them and kind of trying to figure out what's going to be best for them. But then once you get your first video, and then once you're kind of understanding like, hey, he's starting to open up, he's starting to
Mhm.
become wiggly with us, and he seems comfortable, then it's like, okay, well, he's doing good. I got my first week, I see how it works. Now they're just practicing more, and then you'll just get your videos as time goes on. But you're more than welcome to visit
Mhm.
whenever you like, just calling ahead. We'll set up the puppy room for you and Herky, or you can take him for a walk or do whatever you want. And then you're also more than welcome to call. But you're going to get my email, and that's going to be the email you'll want to send any questions you have about the videos you get, or just in general, like, hey, how is this week, or how was this weekend? But like I said, we do try our best to do the updates there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes there's nothing changing. It's just the same thing for like the after that first week.
Yeah, I'm assuming just no news is good news in every dog boarding or training facility. I know we are well over time, but I do have one questions
Of course.
left. So you mentioned that we might be able to visit during the training. Do you think it's good for us to visit, or you think it's better for us like not showing up at all? I'm just wondering. I don't I don't think Herky will, but I'm pretty sure some dog will say, "Oh, I see mom, but why mom just play with me for 10 minutes and then she just go away again and leave me in Consultation for training."
Mhm.
Does dog usually think about that way or no? He would just say, "Okay, you're here. I'm happy." And then once you go, "Okay, I'm go back to my training and play with my friends." Like which one will work better? Like
Uh,
visit in between days or not visit at all?
it's up to you. You know, we'll see. Have seen some dogs. I have seen some owners come, they leave, and the dog is like stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
But since we have the tools to calm the dog down, it's not an issue. For
Okay.
puppies, it can be a little more difficult since they're like, "Where's mom? Where's dad?" And then they're just
Mm-hmm.
like freaking out. Then I've, I think I've seen some puppies regress in like the potty training and stuff like that. But um, for you, there I don't see I don't see there being an issue at all if you were to visit or not.
Okay. Okay,
Up to you.
cool. Sounds good. So I think that is all the question I have. As I mentioned, we do have a targeted day to send Turkey to join the board and train program. Are you all currently booked up, or is your facility all currently booked up? There's a wait list, or no, you still have availability for Turkey?
I don't think we have any. I don't think we have any upcoming boarding trains, Elizabeth.
Okay.
No, we have room. Yeah, we have this batch here. We just got a bunch right after the holidays. They're all starting to go home now. But I
Okay.
think now we're having another clean slate for a little bit. So then we should be available. You said early April or late April?
We are moving on April 2nd. So we are aiming to send him to board and train at least maybe 3 or 4 days or 2 days before so that we get some time to pack and like get ready. So we are looking at late March, like March 30th, 31st or something like that.
Yeah, that should work. Um, okay. Other than that, trying to think if I covered everything for you. Oh, another kind of question owners have asked is when does the e-collar come off? So like, do dogs graduate from it? Is it on all the time, 24/7? How does that work?
Mhm.
So for Herky, when you're going on your walks, you would want the e-collar on all the time. Now you're not really using it all the time. It's just there just in case there's like because we can't predict what's going to happen on these walks, right? Especially when you're in the suburbs, it might be a little more calmer. So
Mhm.
owners tend to get more comfortable, but something can happen. So like let's say we're walking on like a busy street, car
Mhm.
crash happens, firework goes off, or something sudden, and Herc gets freaked out. We've heard a
Mhm.
lot of stories where dogs pull owners to the ground, or they slip out the leash or the collar, and then they're just running away.
Mhm.
So again, that's called flight mode. So when dogs are in flight mode, they're thinking kill or be killed. So they're running for their life. So then you have your e-collar to override the brain of flight mode and then make Herky do the 180 and come back to you. In the
Mhm.
if Herky's in the kennel napping, just resting, then you don't need it. If he's doing duration work, you have it on. If you're gonna have guests come over, right, 30 minutes prior,
Mhm.
collar him up, address whatever that is needing to be addressed when your guest enters. And if you find that Herky is relaxed throughout the night or throughout the stay of your guest, then you can take it off. If you want to keep it on just in case he does something or whatever, you can keep it on. So it's just kind of like is on when you need it. And
Mhm.
it's not like you're going to be using it all the time. Like I said before, we're using it a lot in the beginning so that we don't need to use it that much later on. It's just going to
Got
be
it.
there just in case. Because like you said, you said something that was very good, uh, like an earthquake, right?
Yeah, like power went out, a fire break out. Yeah.
Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. It's just more like a sit out, right? Like it's
Correct.
there when I need it. Like maybe 99 out of 100, I don't need it. There's nothing there during that walk, but just that one time thing, when I need it, is there.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's it. Please focus on providing, creating positive association with the e-collar.
Hmm?
We really don't want to have another leash collar situation with Herky, and I really want him to accept that color. understand that he may not like it. Just like teenager, you never want to follow every single instruction from the parents, but all I want just like he accepted whenever I ask him to do so.
Correct. If we see it, because we'll do our best, but it's most likely just need time.
Yeah.
Now, if it's like consistent, and we will give you like an exercise to do where we're adding consequence for the action of running away without using the e-collar.
Okay.
So we're kind of telling him, you can run away, but since you ran away, now you're going to get another consequence for running away, right? Then you put the e-collar on. So sometimes positive reinforcement won't always work, won't be enough. So then it's like, all right, we got to take a step farther, or another step, or another route, because the hey, if you put this, you get this isn't working or isn't enough. So we'll definitely handle that and get that covered as well. With the board and train, depending on which program you choose, one, 2, 3, 4. The 2 or the 3 week or the 4 week, you get follow-up lessons.
Okay.
So you'll see on the website, the 4-week program comes with, I think, 12 hours of follow-up. The 2-week comes with 4 hours of follow-up. That's the in-person. So we like to do our follow-up lessons on arrival or upon pickup. So when you come to pick them up, we do a follow-up, then you go home, practice, come back for another follow-up. Hey, Enrique, I didn't know how to do this when he did this behavior, because this is new. And then we'll walk you through that.
Got it.
After this consultation, you're going to get a follow-up email from from Elizabeth. She's going to send you the programs we talked about, the e-collar I recommended. She's also going to send you a few forms to fill out with shock records, agreement forms. Once the agreement forms and we get the shock records, we can go ahead and begin the billing and booking process, which is like this date, and you'll have to pay that whatever cost it is to choose. Any other questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool. If anything pops up, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Other than that, like I said, Herky sounds like a good dog. Sounds like you have an understanding of dog psychology. You're doing a good job, especially for your first dog. It sounds like you've been doing good, and there's just a little bit of cleaning up that needs to be done. But other than that, it's very nice speaking with you. And then we'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.